Keepin On looks at the journey of aging through the power of music. Hello, I'm Van Owens Hayes, host of the podcast Keepin On, which is brought to you by Walker West Music Academy, where they harness the power of music to foster academic achievement, success, healing, and joy. What helps you keep on doing what you do? Is it music? Music can comfort, heal, inspire, and uplift. It can make you want to sing, dance, tap your foot, create, and learn. Music can help you keep on, keeping on. Today's episode is entitled, I Still Got It Going On. We're going to welcome co-founder of Walker West, Grant West, and vocal artist Ginger Commodore, who will reveal how music creates joy in their lives and helps them stay active. Thank you for being here, Ginger and Grant.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, how has music contributed to your growth as an artist? Grant, you can go.
Okay.
Or maybe I should have Ginger go first because I know Grant has longer answers.
My answers might be long too, or very short. Music is my life. I can't say that I started out with music wanting to be my life, but it turns out that music needed to be my life. I have grown as an artist because of the music that I have been introduced to, the music I listen to, the music I use to learn from. All of the aspects of music shape my life and continue to point me in the right direction.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, music is, at this stage, well, I've always been involved, with music, even when I've had other jobs. Music started off being one of those things that my dad always used to say, well, you can, you'll fall back on. And in many cases, it's really the other stuff that I should have fallen back on. And so I'd say that in a large sense, everything else has been a distraction, and I wonder about that sometimes, even to the point, maybe of I'm not sorry I went to college and and got the piece of paper, but I just wonder, it was in some sense a distraction from the music, from the music.
Well, we know that music is activated in a different part of your brain than the intellectual pursuits. And so you can still appreciate music and respond to music when you can't do some things like talk or move. So it stays with us. And because it stays with us and it's in the creative side of your brain, I would like to ask you how it sparks creativity in you.
Wow. Well, kind of tagging off of your answer, without college, I'm not sure what direction I would have gone. I used my 4 years of classical training as a basis for being able to learn and keep active, and use it to direct my path. So after graduating college, in a very Lutheran situation, I went immediately into the sounds of blackness. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is the real world right here. But you know what? Everything that I had learned and practiced as a college student in music performance I needed every one of those things to help propel me in my career, and starting with Sounds of Blackness in my path. Yeah.
Well, now that's very interesting because I went to I wanted to be a musician. In junior high school and high school, I was always involved in music. I was in a rock and roll band, and I had my own little jazz band.
Sure.
And so, scholarship wise, I mean, this is in Cheyenne, Wyoming. There just wasn't that, those kinds of opportunities, kind of nobody to see you, nobody really to, take the interest in.
Sure.
So when I went to, and I took piano lessons, I came up in the traditional classical, that's what I did. And there was the AME church, and I was kind of an apprenticed organist for Mrs. Harris, who was the pianist from Chicago, and so from all the years that I had piano and was in music, when I got to college, and it was the first 2 years at Casper College, what do you want to do? Well, music. I want to do music, we really don't have, a degree in music, but they had music courses and all of that sort of thing. And I think that I sat in the music theory classes and things like that. I knew everything. I didn't know the terminology.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I knew, all of it, and there wasn't anything that I hadn't played. No chords that I hadn't played. I played classical music and all the rest of it.
Sure.
But it was, and so I've always been this musician, whatever else it is that I've done. I've always, who am I? I'm this musician. I play piano.
Yeah.
And
Well, the listening audience can't see you, but the two of you, when you talk about music, have a big smile on your face. And so it seems as though music creates joy. And I want you to talk a little bit about that feeling that music gives you.
Oh, that's a big question and somewhat tough, but music brings me joy on many levels. I love performing. Okay. I feel comfortable because I've had the training that I've needed to sustain me, and I enjoy the responsiveness that comes from the audience. And as I get older, I am enjoying watching my children engage in music. That's what's bringing me joy right now, because I have two extremely talented children musicians. And I just love watching them. I didn't have to sit them down and say, okay, do this. This is what you do. This is how you do. They watched and learned. And now they're doing their own thing. I tried to get my daughter to sing a little jazz, and she's like, Mom, I'm not a jazz singer.
Oh.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I think that is absolutely fabulous, because as they do try to pigeonhole you as a musician, okay, you only do this, or, this is what we'll hire you to do, or whatever, you learn that the importance is in the diversity. Okay, and that's what keeps you going and motivated and looking forward. And so I am so excited to watch them grow, hip hop and R&B, and sometimes my daughter will, when she's on stage, she says, "Oh, and my mom would do this," and she'll start to do a little jazzy kind of flute thing, because I sometimes do that in my shows. So I know she's learning. I know she knows. And my son is an extremely accomplished drummer, very talented, smart. He's a smart player. There's a difference between playing in a band and needing to support a soloist. He understands that, and I'm not saying he's the only one, but he does a really good job at that and understanding those changes. So, yeah.
Well, for me, I guess the joy in the music comes from the visceral experience that it has always been for me. And by that I mean, it's joy today, it's pain tomorrow.
Could be.
It's a sadness, that whole thing. And when you get to see music, people kind of tend to think that music is kind of something that you add on, and I think that that's the attitude maybe of the schools. But music is it's a part of who I think everybody is, at some level. And one of the saddest things that I've ever done that gave me the most satisfaction was playing a funeral for 2 children that had died in a fire. And as I sat there, on the instrument, it adds to the bearability of what it is that we have to deal with, And I think that when we look at music, when they walk those miles, in the South for civil rights, they didn't just walk, they sang,
They sang, and they had a cadence, and they had secret messages. Come on now.
Yeah, you bring it all the way back, and, we got to get a message across, And so it's just, and all of the things that you can't say, in words, you can say in music, and when I deal with a student, I play something, I said, this music is talking. And what does it say? It says something wide and deep and high, and that has the rhythm aspect to it. It's a language it's the language of the soul.
And I think we're finding, especially in this time, in the times we are in, that music is a healer.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, always.
And people are tapping into that, and they get it. They get it. I'll just, quickly say, I had a phone call a couple of nights ago from a producer who was putting on a live stream show and said, you know what, especially after the verdict, we need to give people not only, understanding of the situation they're in, but understand that you can be healed in many levels through music. Will you come and sing some songs, some uplifting songs? It didn't have to be a change is gonna come and what's going on, some uplifting, spirited music. And I'm like, sure, I'll do that. I have like an hour that I can come in and do that. But people are understanding that music heals your soul.
With the Amazing Grace Choir, we've been reduced now to speaking because and so we have this program that we do, and of course everybody talks, but we'll have a topic, and people will say, they'll speak on that particular topic. And then they may talk about some aspect of their youth or something like this. And, I sit and I listen to that and I hear singing. I mean, it's, and the fact that we can vocalize or scream or and that's the magic, again, of the African American experience, in particular. And I've heard, they compare college choirs, Southern college choirs, or black college choirs to the experience of singing in Caucasian choirs,
Sure.
and it's the voice and the intonation is different. It's culture at its root, and I think that it allows me to be me. If I feel this way, and if it's raining outside, I might play something. I will, I played it yesterday because it was raining, and today is sunny, and I'm playing the same song, and it's, so it responds to the weather, it responds to the situation.
Mm-hmm. The two of you seem to be saying that music really connects us.
Absolutely.
Which, and it's healing, and it's inspirational and uplifting, and exhibits our many emotions. For those who are at home and say, I wish I'd learned to play the piano, or I wish I'd taken the singing lessons, or I wish I could play the guitar, what would you say to them about taking that opportunity at this stage of life?
I've had students, who come and they'll say, and I always ask them, I say, why are you taking lessons, at this stage of the game? And, they'll say, well, I had an opportunity, maybe when I was a kid, or I didn't have an opportunity, or I squandered an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so, I just, kind of want to get back to this. And usually, these people have kind of a latent thing in them that now comes out. And I say to them, certain students, I say, you should have been doing this a long time ago, or you should never have stopped doing this. Right. Or how did you stop doing this? I have a friend in California, we used to play in a band together. And he said, well, he says, I put my, I put my guitar down so that and I got busy with other stuff. I said, I don't, for the life of me, I can't understand.
I don't comprehend that.
Yeah. What does that even mean? So it's, and when I was a kid, I used to, and even now, I think, well, what would I do if something happened in my hand and I couldn't play, And then I think about this concert pianist that was in the war, who lost his right hand, and so he started composing and plays piano with his left hand better than, So, so there's all kinds of compensation that, that happens in your brain.
I often will get someone who will want to take a voice lesson, and they'll say, well, I can't sing. And I'm like, well, yeah, I bet you probably can. You might be at a different level of singing or comprehension, but I'm sure that you can say some words and put a melody to it. I think you can probably do that.
I like
Just
that
do
approach.
this for me.
Uh-huh.
Just talk to me so I can evaluate where you're at. And they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, you probably can. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So let's work on that, and we'll get to whatever level that you're comfortable with. Maybe you're not going to be a star, an opera singer, or an R&B artist, but you might be able to moan some soulful things. You might be able to moan some soulful things. You don't know, and you never know when. For a commercial or some project where they might need you to just come in and moan. Oh,
Well,
I can do that.
well, and you'll never get kicked out of a black church choir. You know,
Come on now.
that's why they say.
That's
they say,
right.
make a joyful noise. Ow!
Make a joyful noise. Yes. Oh, that's funny.
So I mean, it all fits in there. It's all in there. It's life. That's what the music is. It's life. You know, and
Right.
it's life at its best, and life at its worst, and life with an audience.
Well,
you know,
and learning to sing it out. If you're feeling a certain kind of way, then sing about it. Sing it out.
yeah.
Don't hold that in. If it's humming, okay, hum it out. Let it work for you rather than against you. And I think you'll find that you're in a better situation. You find yourself in a better situation if you can go ahead and
Yeah. And there's such joy. You know, the thing is, why do we go and see somebody sing? You know, or see musicians? Why do we go to see it? Because they're having so much fun, and we go to watch them have that fun. And
it's that, and for me, it's very often a learning experience. I'm going so I can learn what to do.
Yeah.
How to do it, how it works.
The two of you speak with such energy about music, and I'm wondering, since both of you are still doing your careers, how you feel about music making you active?
Whoa, I just can't even imagine what that would be if music wasn't a strong part of my life. I can't really imagine what that would feel like. I spend a lot of time listening to music to learn. So I have to kind of turn that off if I just want to hear a song. I have to don't take the song apart. Don't worry about the words. Just listen for enjoyment. To me, those are two different things.
Now that's very interesting.
Isn't that?
Yes. That whole thing, and silence. People say to me sometimes, "I bet you listen to a lot of music," and I say, "No, I really don't."
I'm learning.
Well, yes, yeah. Otherwise, and if I'm writing, I'm kind of, just like when you play and, you're playing jazz, and so there's this big improvisory thing.
Oh, sure.
And so that means the music is coming in from outside.
Right, but doesn't that propel you?
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't that just help motivate you?
Oh, absolutely. And you have to
Yes,
just kind of, but you have to, but
Especially
we'll be
as
going
we get
someplace.
older, especially as we are getting older, to use that platform, that music, whether it's you're playing it or you're listening, using that to help motivate you
Yeah,
is awesome.
Yeah,
And you don't even really think about that. You don't think about that that's what's happening.
That's
but
interesting.
You are using music to keep you active and keep you thinking and keep you arranging and doing new things and working with new people and yeah.
I'm a new guitar player. I
Okay.
say new because I've been playing guitar for about 3 years. I'm taking lessons from Jamie Carter. But then, of course, being a piano player, my goal is to play everything on the guitar that I play on the piano.
Wow.
And
That's a huge goal.
It is, and but it's the language. And so I didn't bring a guitar here today. I thought about it, but when you get to there's a certain, when you know yourself, there's a certain perfection that you become. I mean, you have a range of perfection. Something where between this and this is what is perfect, And so all else, you practice on, and there's plenty else,
Sure.
to practice on. And so it's kind of, and it's something that you can kind of craft just like you want it, just like you want it, and you don't have to, you have to argue with anybody about it, whether it's green or yellow or if it's too far to the right or too far to the left. This is your creation, and that's what it's a round world that you create, that you live in.
To tag off of that, I as a vocalist, I've dabbled in a few instruments through my life, and I'm finding that instead of picking up the instrument, I am vocally trying to imitate. So I'm adding that dimension to my performances. So,
yes.
I'm picking up rhythmic things and learning how to put my voice in certain layers and some doubling and
where the
those
horn
kinds
is.
of yes, listening to a lot of horn lines to help my scatting. Now I'm listening to horn lines. So maybe I can do some horn lines.
Yeah.
So
I always used to say that the piano player knows everything. He knows what the bass is doing.
Sure.
He knows what the horns are doing.
Sure.
And he damn well better know what the vocalist is doing.
Okay, I'm with you on that one.
Stay off of them lines.
Oh, come on. It's different.
Well, I feel so honored to be able to have such experienced musicians who love what they do, and music helps us keep on keeping on, and thank you.
Now. Yes, it does. Thank you so much for having us. This is a really nice discussion because people don't get an opportunity to get some firsthand interaction. For me, this is really kind of surreal because I'm usually working with Tom West, and Tom West's voice is coming out of Grant West.
Uh-oh.
And so I'm like, okay, I can handle this. It's been great. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
And before we wrap, we'll just keep going because it'll be edited. But can you just mention, Ms. Ginger, who Tom West is?
Oh, sure. Tom West is a pianist, accompanist that I began working with when I first started singing. And we actually created some music together. I produced a Christmas CD, and Tom and I worked through the year putting these songs together. Actually, when Walker West was across the street, we would meet there maybe once a week or so and do work on these songs. So Tom is a very accomplished pianist as well. Smart. He's a smart pianist with a vocalist. Not only with the vocalist, but I that's my reference, is that he knows, when to pull back a little bit. The soloist, it's just a different thing. It's just a different thing. And you work with people that understand you musically and can respond to you musically. So that's the relationship with Tom West. And I have to say that any other pianist or band situation, if you mention Tom West's name, they will always say, oh, he's a great player. He's a great pianist, and he is.
Yes, Tom is my brother, 10 years younger. I always used to say that I taught him everything he knows, and then he went out and learned some other stuff. But and it's interesting, when you talk about Tom, because I remember he came here to the Twin Cities I think in 12th grade, and
Okay.
he did his 12th grade year here, and the question becomes after high school, well, what are you going to do? And so he hesitated for a second, and they and allowed them to put him in a pipe fitting program at
That's hilarious.
yeah,
That's
and it didn't work out.
No, not so
Wonder
much.
why. And then suddenly he
We
was
were like, "You're from where?
yeah. So you
How
go to hell and
did
turn
this
left.
happen?" We're grateful that it did.
Yeah.
Well, Ginger, I also recall working with you before when we were trying to encourage Black folks to stay healthy. And she did a music background for a video we did with TPT. And it was fun. And so, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you to today's guest and to you, our listening audience, for joining us today. As Plato says, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Until next time, keep keeping on.